Right to it, can't I? Okay, can we start the meeting with a pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening and welcome to the regular December meeting of the Greencastle School Board. First item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Gibbony.
Yep, there are no adjustments to the agenda this month.
Okay. Next item is public comments regarding agenda items. Do we have anyone that would like to make a comment on an agenda item tonight? Okay, hearing none. Next item on the agenda is recognitions. Mr. Gibbony.
Yep. Mr. McHugh.
I get to present two Deer Meadows students, one that could not be with us last month, so our October student of the month, and then our November student of the month. So if I could have Addie and Case come on up here. All right. Our first one, face right here. Our October student of the month is Addie Moses, Mrs. Riggle's class, second grade, and Addie here. Mrs. Riggle writes, Addie has helped a new student get adjusted to our classroom. She makes sure the student understands directions and models our classroom expectations. Addie is patient, kind, always willing to help. She has been the reason the new student has adjusted so smoothly to a new school and a new teacher. Addie was also nominated by multiple staff members. So Addie Moses, our October student of the month. Case Crowder in Mrs. Hertenstein's class is a first grader, and he is our November student of the month. And his nomination reads, Case is a very hardworking student. He has such enthusiasm for learning. He's a great role model for others. He's always kind to others and is a good friend. He is a joy to have at Deer Meadow. Case Crowder.
And we have the backdrop set up for pictures.
Good evening. I have Miss Stevie Neese here with me. She's a kindergartner at Ridpath, and she was nominated by Miss Schlatter, but also by her peers, which I thought was really neat. So her nomination reads, over the past month, students in Miss Schlatter's class have said, I think Stevie deserves to be Student of the Month, and we couldn't agree more. She's a great friend to everyone. She's so kind and willing to help and share every chance she can. Stevie is a hard worker and shows a great love of learning. She's a great role model to her peers. So congratulations to Stevie.
So our TZ student of the month is Easton Patterson. Easton is a fifth grader in Mrs. Fowler's class, and she wrote, he's a very kind and hardworking student and a positive peer role model for his classmates. He is always the first to volunteer to help adults and students. I can always count on him to be patient and helpful in group collaborations. It's been a pleasure to have him in class. And he was a unanimous vote from the administration, and the office ladies are also very impressed with him.
Right, we have Dalton Mail with us today, and his teachers said these kind words about him. He is one of the most polite, kind, and helpful students I've ever had in class. He greets me daily, says please, thank you, and is always respectful. He always offers to help when he sees that there's something that needs to be done. And he is always honest, regardless of if it gets him in trouble or not. So he's always telling the truth no matter what. So we are going to miss him. You're going to be getting a great student next year. So congratulations.
Okay.
Our student of the month, it's a new student. You may not know him. His name is Braden Bohr. He's a junior. Came to us in the middle of the semester this year. Our character ed trait was citizenship. And he was walking home one day and then saw a teacher working in her yard raking leaves, asked if she needed help. So he did. That was even mentioned. He did it for free. And then he came back the next day and raked the entire yard. So Braden Bohr, you may not know him. Again, he's only been here a couple months, but he'll be full-time with us next year. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, which consists of meeting minutes from the regular meeting of November 20th, the allowance of claims, the financial report, and personnel reports, part 1 and 2.
Yep. So Mrs. Romer isn't with us this evening, so I'll review financial information with you. Excuse me. But inside in your board packet, you can see we have a couple of payrolls included. Those amounts listed as well as our claims. Does anybody have any questions on any of our claims? They're all relatively straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary. Those are included. Scroll through here. Going to the fund report, you can see the ending balance for the education fund, $3,464,259.46. Debt service fund, negative 430,008.74. Obviously, that negative will turn into a positive because we know that we're going to receive our tax settlements this month. Retirement severance bond fund, $164,997.73. Operations fund, $416,461.03. Rainy day, $2,173,224.46. And if you look at the very, very bottom of your fund report, you can see $7,284,289.31. And then if you look at the bank fund to balance report, and you can see that those dollar amounts match. The very next page is our fund transfer report. Obviously, we know that some of those are just bank account transfers, but that does include our education fund to operations fund transfer that we make monthly. And then you can see that some of those school lunch prepaids transfer for that as well. Outside of that, I'd like to recommend the consent agenda for approval.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is reports. The first from the Greencastle Teachers Association.
Yep, we do not have a GCTA report this month.
Okay. Second, the Assistant Superintendent report.
I just have a couple of updates in regards to the state assessments. The state is changing a lot of things in the next couple of years to reflect our revised standards. So what they're going to do with iLearn is they're going to create checkpoints that the schools will take in grades 3 through 8 3 times in the year, and then the final summative would be in the end of the year. They have offered schools to pilot this assessment next school year as a no count. So Mrs. Eldridge and Mrs. Clements and I spoke, and we think this is a good idea for our students to do, so we can learn about what the test looks like, the logistics of the test, what kind of schedule do we need to do before it actually counts toward anything. So next school year, we are going to be a part of that checkpoint pilot with the state. And then for our second grade students, I've worked with Mr. McHugh and Mr. Roberts, and the state is offering for the iRead assessment to be given to second grade students. I've talked to other districts who have done this, and they've had nothing but good things to say. The data that they get from it is really helpful and informative for their third grade classes. And what happens is the second grade students will take it in the spring. If they pass it, they don't have to take it again in the third grade. If they don't, then we can use that data to make better informed decisions on those interventions when they're in third grade, and then they can take it again. The schools who've done it have seen an increase in their pass rate in third grade, as well as intentional planning of classes and things like that. So we are going to go forward with that this year as well.
Okay,
So
thanks.
second graders this spring.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next, superintendent report, Mr. Gibney.
So I just have a few brief things this month. If you've driven past the north side of the high school, you can see the steps leading down to the tennis courts were poured and have been replaced. The railings will go up on both sides of those here in short order as well. Those had fallen apart over the years and really needed to be replaced. The building project continuing to make significant strides with that. We expect to potentially take back another additional locker room here over the next couple of weeks. We continue to complete some of the finishes and some of the existing locker rooms, some of the punch list type items. Really making progress, obviously, in the weight room and the wrestling room. All the new lighting is up. So continue to push forward with that. And then in the connector corridor, the drop ceiling and a lot of the drywall finishes are going up. And if you noticed on the outside, you're starting to wrap some of those walls with the finished limestone. So that way, hopefully, over the next month and a half, the outdoor corridor or the outdoor of the outdoor portion of the connector can really be completed and finished off. And then it's been a couple weeks now, but we're preparing the new auxiliary gym for the new wood floor, and they actually started nailing down the new hardwood floor in the auxiliary gym today. So things are moving along really quickly, although obviously we'd like it to move a little bit quicker. And on that same time frame, the few remaining classrooms on the second floor of the school, we're looking mid to end of January to take those back. That's our new alt ed, special ed, and kind of math area. And then also with that, we know that we have some additional seating area for the high school cafeteria. We've got to complete the finishes and polish the concrete, and we'll take back that space as well. But overall, things are looking good and move along very well with that. We're trying to get through some final testing of some of the fire suppression system in the high school kitchen. Once we get through that, startup of equipment by the manufacturer, and then training on that equipment. So we're looking at a grand reopening of our high school kitchen on January 8th. So that way we can start serving the full spectrum of meals to our high school kids again. They've been very patient. And then just the final thing, obviously, we won't meet again until after the holiday. So certainly wishing our students, our staff, and our families a safe and relaxing holiday break.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business, and we have no old business. So the next item is new business, and the first thing under new business is an approval request for the permission to pay late arriving 2023 invoices.
Yep, so as is customary at the end of the year, we want to pay 2023 obligations with 2023 funds and appropriations. And so we know that some of those things are going to hit us after the board meeting. And so we just want to be able to pay those on time. And then obviously we'll provide the board with a report in January.
All right, sounds good. I would.
I make a motion that we go ahead and give permission to pay the late pay arrivals of 2023 invoices.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Pay the bill.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next is an approval request for the 2025-26 academic year calendar.
Yeah, so it's kind of asked to maybe bring something to the board for approval or for discussion. Now that hopefully the county schools are on the same page with where our spring break should be, I'd like to work on extending out that calendar to help our families and help our DePaul families as well. So the 25-26 calendar, it's pretty much just a corresponding dates calendar. Obviously, some things might be small changes just based on how the holidays hit. Obviously, we know that we have to hit 180 days. Working to start as late in August as we can, but still finish before Memorial Day. So I have a calendar I'm recommending for approval.
Okay, well, I think it's a great idea we're doing this. So, okay, taking a motion to approve.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
Thanks for putting it together.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for the Teacher Appreciation Grant.
Yeah, so we've actually distributed teacher appreciation grant, the dollars that we received from the state to our teachers. But as is customary each year, we seek approval from the board to provide the same tag grant stipend for our administrators using our local dollars because we cannot use the state dollars for that. So there was listed the amounts in the packet and just seeking board approval to move forward with that.
Same thing we do every year.
Yep, and this is just administrators that are returning to us.
Right.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Nope. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for some donations. First being from Gary and Linda Huber Fund for cultural arts and learning to the Greencastle High School Choir Band Art, Middle School Choir Band Art, and TZ Music in the amount of $7,000. Second being Putnam County Hospital to Greencastle High School Athletics in the amount of $1,740. Third being Breadworks by Bridges to Greencastle Community Schools in the amount of $500. And the last being Mary Allison Children's Trust to Deer Meadow Primary in the amount of $624.94.
I make a motion that we
Yes.
accept these and say thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Second that, gladly.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Last item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business to bring up and discuss?
I see we have some teachers going on some FMLA. Are we comfortable with being able to bring people in for that short period of time?
Yeah, we do our best to fill them. We have some that will jump right from one FMLA or lead position into another. But yeah, always doing our best for the ones that we can to put a certified person in those spots if we can.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, last item on the agenda is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we shut it down. I second.
Okay,
Shut it down. Shut it down.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are shut down.
Shut her down.
So, thank you.
everyone,
And
for coming.
have a great holiday season and be careful, and we'll see you next month.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Chad.